not so hot today. It's actually tolerable. This is the Three Guys Who Love Sports. My name is Chuck Burge, and we're here to support guys that are going through physical and mental issues, and then we can help take their mind off what they're going through for an hour at a time, and you do the same. Everybody does a little. Nobody has to do a lot. So it's a great day to be back. Again, Chuck Burge here with my co-host, Robert Kennedy. Robert, we haven't been on together in 3 weeks. I've missed you, buddy.
It's been eons.
No, Ian.
But not Ian's.
Just eons. Oh, okay. Eons. Well, we'll get to Ian in a minute. Always good to be back at Miller's. Dinner, what did you get?
I actually went quesadilla.
Quesadilla. Cheese quesadilla? Cheesy quesadilla?
I didn't enunciate it that way, but my bartender who's giving me the food did, so I'm just...
Quesadilla? Is that right?
You just sit there and eat your quesadilla.
Yeah, there you go.
And Liechtenstein Larry, what did you go with?
I went with the bacon cheeseburger.
Bacon cheeseburger. Look at you guys moving around. Don't even talk about me.
No.
Mimi's Fiesta Bowl, whole of shrimp, and that's pretty much it.
Can you imagine what this show's going to be like when they figure out he's the only guy who's ordered it at this location, and they're like, "Oh, we took it off the menu." What?
Oh my gosh! I have to eat quesadilla then. All right.
I'll let you know how it tastes.
All right. Well, good. Won't you do that after you read our first commercial?
I can do that. There are a lot of places to get your oil changed in the Kennesaw area, but if you're looking for a personal experience, then stop in at Castro Kennesaw Express Lube or Lost Mountain Express Lube. We'll always do our best to get you in and out quickly, safely, without a whole lot of fuss. We're a true owner-operated business where you'll find Brian under a car or a hood at one of the shops. We offer experienced, knowledgeable technicians and the latest computer software to help you maintain your new car warranty and keep your pride and joy running for the next 100,000 miles. We proudly offer Castro products.
And we thank you, Brian, for your crazy memes on Facebook, as well as being a sponsor here on the Three Guys. And we can't go any further without thanking Adam for sitting in for me 1 week and Robert 1 week over the last 3 weeks. As host, did a fine job.
Thank you.
Other than transposing one phone number, he did a really good job of reading the
well, hey, the number was missing from the last number was missing.
No, that was a different commercial.
There's like 10 to pick
You read
from.
607 when it should have been 706.
I don't know if it's a 4, but I'm going 4.
Sounded confident.
Yeah.
We want to welcome back our good friend Ian King. Ian, welcome back, buddy.
Glad to be back.
Look at the crowd. How good was that? Always good to have Ian back on the show. So we're going to ride into some Major League Baseball. Obviously, it's not my favorite subject, but it is All-Star Week, and it's something we got to talk about. So some great things happened this week. The kid from Minnesota, 12 straight hits. How impressive is that?
You know, it is impressive. There's no doubt about it. Whenever you start, I remember the old one, and I believe it was Billy Hatcher in the 1990 playoffs for the Cincinnati Reds, and he had like 12 or 13 in a row, and it was,
Wasn't 12 or 13.
It was.
No, because this has not been done in 74 years.
For the regular season, I believe. Billy Hatcher was right there either way.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is at some point in time, pitchers don't always have to throw to you. That's the whole thing. If you get walked, you're out of this stat.
But if somebody had asked you before I saw this, what do you think the most consecutive hits ever was? I would have said.
I just said Billy Hatcher.
I would have said 6 or 7. But I mean, I would have never thought 12 until I saw this guy doing that. Third baseman in Minnesota. I can't think of his name.
I don't know why you're looking at me like I know. I have no idea.
It's baseball, I know.
Well,
you heard about the 12 in a row, right?
Miranda.
Yeah.
No, I didn't hear about the 12 in a row until
12 straight hits. That's pretty impressive.
You put it on the thing.
I can put it in perspective. I was watching some clips today of Bob Horner when he became the 11th person to ever hit 4 home runs in a game. And it was funny, the announcer was just saying, well, there's only 10 people that have ever done this, and if Bob does it, he would be in the next pitch, bam. So there's some rarities in baseball, and that's certainly one of them.
And I saw one the other day. It was really funny. The things that we think are, a no hitter, and it showed the list. It was like no hitter. We've had 487 of those, and 4 home runs in a game, and then you start getting down to unassisted triple plays. That starts to become pretty rare.
Saw 2 of those this week. One shortstop and one second base. It was pretty wild. There's so many on there. I watched David Wells recap of his perfect game he pitched for the Yankees. in the mid '90s, I guess, late '90s.
Correct.
Late
I've seen
90s,
a,
yeah.
I've seen a documentary on Bally or whatever where
Yeah.
the guy interviews him.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I think there's 32 new players on the All-Star game this year. That's a lot of players. I read through the list. I didn't know over half of these guys.
You know, I mean, that's baseball. Baseball's always churning out new talent. And, you know, one thing, and I'm not going to claim this is the reason why there's so many new names, but they've reworked everything because the owners have always tried to hold the man down in the minor leagues because then they can keep you for an extra year of contract negotiations. And so they did change and tweak that a couple years ago. So that might be part of what you're seeing where, you know, there's just more people coming up and more opportunities for them.
That's true. I heard a good debate this week about the starting pitching from the National League because the Braves moved Sale back a day to pitch last night, and he'll pitch Sunday, so he won't be able to pitch in the All-Star game. But everybody was saying, well, Chris Sale should be the starting pitcher. He's got 12 wins. He's got more than any month. But there's also Suarez from the Phillies. Ranger Suarez from the Phillies, and for my money, because this is just an exhibition game.
And Chuck ain't throwing his money out on a regular basis. So if he says for my money, this is big.
For my money, if I'm going to watch a game that's just exhibition, which is really all it is.
All it is.
And NBC or whoever carries the game wants people to watch it, right? I got to put Skeens in as my starting pitcher. Only because he's going to be up
exciting.
against. He's going to be pitching
exciting.
against the best of the American League. If you put him in the 5th and 6th, he's going to get the second string All-Star. He's not going to get the Judge and Altuve and all those guys.
Absolutely.
And that's who I want to see him pitch. And I wouldn't watch it if he was going to pitch later. But
No,
I don't watch the All-Star game typically.
You make a very good point. You know, next on the list should probably be the kid from East Paulding, Zach Wheeler, who's a Philly. But, you know, Skeens makes great sense. You know, but that goes back to what do the people want to see? I think the people want to see something like Skeens versus
They want
the
to see
best.
some heaters.
Yeah, well, you know, hey, who do you got over on that side? Wow, you've got a lot of good hitters. Let's see how he does.
So it's either do you reward the best pitcher, which is not Skeens, he's 5-0, but he's not. He doesn't have 12 wins like the other pitchers.
Correct.
So do you reward the best pitcher, or do you put what's best out there for the game?
Well, what
I think for the game, it's Paul Skeens.
And what I said to begin with was that they were holding Skeens down to keep his contract. So maybe he would have 12 wins if the man wasn't holding him down.
Yeah.
But, you know, with just being drafted last year, I mean, for him to matriculate to the majors this year, become a starting pitcher, and then also become an all-star is unprecedented.
Oh, no, it's unbelievable.
Never been done.
Oh, unbelievable.
And it's also never been done where we've had, you know, 7+ strikeouts in every single start.
And
He's phenomenal.
yeah, and I was watching something else. I didn't know this. The fastest pitch ever recorded. Do we know who that is?
I would have guessed it was a Chapman.
It was Chapman. 105.3.
Yeah, I mean, what that guy used to what he was able to do when he first came up to Cincinnati, and I was terrified. I was thinking, holy crap, you know, if he pitches every 5 days, and it was crazy how quickly they moved him to the bullpen because he was a starter when he very first came up, and it was I guess they just figured nobody can do that.
Long term.
100 pitches once every 5 days.
Consistently over 100. They were talking about
For
he did
years.
7 in a row, and then and then Skeens is really the next Chapman.
Yeah.
But it's Aurelio Chapman. Well, he wasn't the starter. He was a closer, wasn't he?
He got pushed into the closer role. Yes.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, it's nice to see that Aroldis Chapman is a Pirate right now, but maybe not for long because on the trade block.
Are you a Pirates fan?
I'm a huge Pirates fan.
Wow, okay.
That's my number one team. But on the trade block with coming into the trade deadline, Aroldis Chapman and Key Brian Hayes are their two number one trade bait. So
Yeah. Well, is Pittsburgh giving up? They're a game under 500 or something like that?
they are. We'll see after tonight, but they are currently 3 games under 500.
3 games under?
And just mollywopped the Brewers last night. Biggest win against the Brewers in Milwaukee since they started playing each other.
I just learned a new word, mollywopped.
Yep, mollywop.
Have you ever heard that? That's a new one on me.
I think I heard it once before, but then I got mollywopped and forgot all about it.
I have not heard of mollywopped. I like that
And
word.
just for the record, that history goes back to 1998 because that was the year that the Brewers joined the National League.
That's correct.
Wow.
12-2 win last night. Biggest run differential the Pirates have had in Milwaukee. Yeah. So
That's
Ever.
nice.
That's pretty cool. So,
I agree with you. It should be somebody like Skeens. They'll never do it, but it'd be fun because my favorite All-Star moment is probably Carl Hubble, and I want to say it's the 34 All-Star game.
didn't they in the telescope have to
And
do it?
he struck. No, that was his cousin Jerry Hubble. But he struck out the first 5 batters of the game, and it was Ruth, Gehrig, Fox, Klein, and it was like the 5 future Hall of Famers, and it's.
Was that an All-Star game?
It was an All-Star game, and it's considered one of the greatest feats in baseball history. Carl Hubble's.
Hubble. He wasn't number 40, was he?
He was not.
Okay.
We'd vote for his butt if he was. I know that.
I wouldn't, but you might.
Only if he was racing around the base.
Whatever, trickle boy.
I like that. It's been a long time since I've been a fan of the All-Star game. It's just not what it used to be. Nobody does it right.
Once Bud Selig got in there, and it's got to mean something. Oh wait, we got to do this with it. We got to
For years they did. Whoever wins it hosts the World Series.
Hosted game one.
That's not the same now.
No, we finally kicked Bud Selig out of his job and took that rule. It's like, this
Okay.
can't mean anything. Nobody cares about it, and then it means the most important thing.
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, we've only got 3 Braves, 2 pitchers, and Ozuna, right?
that's correct.
That's
Yeah.
great.
So, it is great. That's what I'm saying, because Dodgers got 7, Phillies got 6. I think somebody else has 5, and we
Pirates
got
have
3.
2.
Pirates have 2. Who do they have?
Paul Skeens
And McClendon?
And no,
Probably
it's
Reynolds?
Brian Reynolds.
Oh,
Yep.
Brian Reynolds. Okay.
B-Dog.
Yeah. All right.
Fantasy baseball nerd.
Yeah, there you go. So, I don't know why it's become what it's become. It's just not the thing it was when I went to 1999 Fenway Park. It was incredible. And 2000 at Turner Field. But it's just changed, and I don't know what it is.
But even by then, and I don't want to throw this on poor Pete Rose's shoulders, who, turns out he just needed a better interpreter 30 years ago, and he'd be in the Hall of Fame. But when he took out Ray Fosse, and I want to say it was like the '73 All-Star game, and here's the play at the plate, and boom! I mean, packed his lunch. Fosse was never the same again, and I think
he couldn't stand up. Pete nailed him.
Well, I know, but I mean, he couldn't stand up a week later either. Yeah. And I think from that game, if you start watching all-star games, whether it be football, basketball, anything else, I think everything starts to get a little looser. Like, hey, we're going to take it easy, right?
Speaking of loose, I think one of my favorite moments of the All-Star game was when John Kruk came up to bat against Randy Johnson and turned the helmet backward and went switch hit against Randy Johnson. I think that may have been my favorite moment of All-Star history.
John Kruk was a character.
And you remember why he did that. The very first pitch, Kruk's a lefty, and it comes in head high, 102 miles an hour. Kruk's like thinking to himself, are you freaking kidding me? I don't want any of this. So he took his helmet and switched it around and took the second pitch to the other side like, dude, this game does not mean anything to me. If you want the strikeout, you can have it.
There you go. So you mentioned you're happy there's only 3 Braves. Are you happy that Ozuna is going to participate in the home run derby?
I think he's the kind of guy who really doesn't matter much with, somebody like a Pete Alonso. Pete's a big barrel-chested, beer-drinking, whatever. So he can get up there and swing for the fences 100 times. It's really not going to affect him next Monday or Tuesday. Sometimes you get people up there and they're gripping the bat too tight and all the other things. So I think Ozuna's okay with it. I personally love that my team's mostly getting a vacation because I guess Sale's not playing. So technically we've got 3, but one of them's already not playing. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. And there have been people that swung themselves out of sync.
Oh, absolutely.
Hitting the home run. And I'd hate to see that happen to Ozuna. Because the Braves, I know they took 2 out of 3 from the Phillies over the weekend, but the 10 days that Harper and Schwarber were out, the Phillies didn't gain anything. The Braves and the Phillies were both 5-5. So they still got some ground to catch up on the Phillies, no matter what happened. So whether they took 2 or 3, I think the head-to-head, there's too much of it until the playoffs. I mean, too much made of it. Everybody's still got to play 182 games. Is that right?
162. But,
games,
right now, if you take, if your last game's Sunday and you get Monday off and you get Tuesday off and then, you get to breathe a little bit. You don't have to fly to another city, and it's an honor and everything else. But let me say this, too, just for the heck of it. Ozuna probably has the worst swing for a home run derby. He's a weird, strong guy who just likes to swing like everything's flat. He doesn't have anything.
A flat plane
he doesn't have any of this. You want a lefty, Ken Griffey Jr., where when it makes contact, it just keeps happening. So I don't expect he's going to be around too long either.
Ozuna?
Yeah, I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
I actually disagree with that. I think that he, not with the swing, but in general, I think with his power and his ability, I think that he actually might make the finals. It's just a matter of if he gets a bad matchup, in the semifinals against like a Pete Alonso, and that's what I think really comes down to is where he's going to end up at in the pecking order for the matchup when he gets in the second round.
You're right, and you never can tell. The guy's big, the guy's strong, he loves to swing, but where those pitching guys, and they just keep throwing that same thing, and if somebody's got an uppercut swing and it's just like a driver for a golf driver over and over, I just don't see him getting in one of those long grooves.
Will you watch the home run derby?
I'll probably watch the end of it.
Will you watch home run derby?
Absolutely.
I probably won't. I might watch the highlights at the end, but it's just not something that thrills me.
I'm really excited for the changes that they've made because previously they had the matchup with the timer.
Correct.
And it was a 1 versus 1, top 8 or the only 8 that come in, 1 versus 1. So basically you had a quarterfinal coming in, and then you had the semifinal, and then the final. And now I'm glad that they've went back and kind of reclaim some of that pre-Bud Selig, all-star magic.
So what is it now?
So it's going to be round robin, open first round.
We'll take the top four.
Top 4 are going, and then they're going to move from there.
It's not head-to-head all the way like
and like Ian said, that first round has killed many people who should have either been first or second place for the whole thing because they just ended up in a juggernaut against Jim Thome at the wrong time or something like that.
Yeah, and
that'll be cool.
And you know what? With only having 6 people in the All-Star or in the home run derby so far, we still don't know the last 2 because normally there are 8 people in the home run derby.
I think they're supposed to be announced today, aren't they? I think.
Well, Jose Ramirez committed today, so he's going to be in it, and then we're going to expect the next 2 to be in there. So
right.
I'm a secret wannabe Indians fan. Man, what a horrible thing.
Guardians.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. See, that's why it's a secret. I still haven't learned their new nickname.
Spiders.
But you look at something like that and you're like, wow, this team is dominating. Da 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 da. I don't want him playing in that home run derby. Your best hitter like that? No way.
Well, look how much we've talked about baseball. We've gone overtime on baseball. Let's get into our brain train commercials and give our brains a rest.
Hey, it's Melissa at Brain Train Centers, the fastest growing neurofeedback provider in the world, and I have some pretty important questions for you. Do you or someone you know struggle with focus and attention, sleep, memory, or other mood issues? Or maybe you just want to achieve more in high-pressure situations? Well, what if I told you you can unlock your brain's full potential and change your life entirely through neurofeedback? A drug-free and natural approach to negative moods, and it's backed by more than 50 years of research, so it's not new. It is safe for both children and adults as you retrain the brain to create new pathways. Medication may help short-term, but they don't address the underlying issues. Just as push-ups help your physical strength, neurofeedback is personal training for your brain. With over 20 offices nationwide, don't hesitate to reach out to Brain Train Centers, as we will provide you with the highest level of compassionate care and help you achieve the mental clarity, performance, and calm you deserve. Your journey to a better quality of life starts with a brain map. Now you can retrain your brain and reset your life. So just call or text 470-291-2778 or visit braintraincentersinc.com.
And we are back. Thank you, Meg and Melissa, for being sponsors of the Three Guys Who Love Sports. Chuck Burge, along with Robert Kinney and Ian King. And we're moving on with our segment called The Greatest Athlete. And we're all the way up to the 40s now. The greatest athlete ever to wear the number 40. And I can only find 3 that were even mentioned on any of the websites. One of them being Gallup and Gale Sayers. The other one was
Georgia boy.
Sean Kemp.
Georgia boy.
Yep. And Henrik Zetterberg.
Zetterberg.
Yes. He played almost 21 years in the NHL. He was drafted 210th by the Detroit Red Wings.
Wow.
He's one of those guys who you
Played
throw
for the
octopi
Swedish
at.
national team.
Wow. So we can eliminate that one.
Yep, that one's gone.
He's in the International Hockey Hall of Fame.
Wow. And
As we said, moving right along.
Sean Kemp, I did have Sean Kemp shoes in '89. I think.
Some sexy
Right when I
green
got
and
married.
yellows.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to give it to Sean Kemp. I mean, the first player to ever be drafted without attending college.
Yep.
You know, you got to give it to him. Had a great career. Was fantastic in Seattle, but once he went to Cleveland, everything was downhill from there.
Him and the glove, when him and Gary Payton were playing together, there's some chemistry. But you bring up a great point about him not being drafted. I had forgotten that.
Or not going to college.
Correct. That's what I meant. But those guys never missed. We didn't know the difference between Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf in football, yet every time a player skips college and comes in, he's good.
Yeah.
Whether it be LeBron, whether it be, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Garnett.
So Sean Kemp was a good athlete, good basketball player, but he's on no level with Gale Sayers.
The greatest, I think, probably out of all the different sports movies. I'm not super sports movie guy, but when you watch the original, I mean, it doesn't get better than that. And if you didn't cry, you have
You
no
talk
soul.
about a Brian song?
Absolutely.
Best sports movie ever.
But you gotta watch the
A
old
ball.
one. Do
Do
not
not
watch
the
that
new
one made 10 years ago with a couple Disney stars.
No, James Caan was
there
in
you
it,
go.
right?
James Caan and Billy D. Williams.
Played
man.
Brian Piccolo, right?
Man, it does not get more intense than that when you're sitting
No, that's gut wrenching. That movie.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
However, for my number 40,
Don't pull a
Pittsburgh
Adam
Pirate.
on us.
Don't pull it. I think he's
nope,
pulling
nope.
Adam.
No, I am going to go with my top number 40 is Mike Allstott. Of my generation, Mike Allstott.
He went to Purdue. Yes.
He was the ground and pound.
Yes.
Let me shove it down your throat.
Tampa Bay,
blow
right?
you up and run you over because I'm the man.
I have an all-star.
I wonder why I
train.
couldn't find Allstott on the list.
What I
don't
want to
know.
know,
Mike Allstott.
outside of that being one of the better answers I've heard in a long time, I'm not changing my answer, but I love that. I want to know, are you changing your answer, you freaking
No.
weirdo?
Because he went to Purdue.
No,
He
he
went
did
to
go.
Purdue and he
I've had the
dominated
opportunity.
people.
I had the opportunity to pick Zach Edey at 15, and I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, he's played one
not-
G
no.
League game. There's a little bit of a difference.
Well, I loved Allstott. Yeah, I thought he was
Allstott
a
was
great
unbelievable.
fullback.
Mike Allstott,
train.
he was literally the train. I mean, he would just run over everybody, and it was just so fantastic to watch. And anytime that I see highlights come up on social media of Mike Allstott's old games and like highlight reels and everything else, you just don't see that today.
No, you do not, because he was a true fullback who could run.
Just like Tom Rathman.
So, I mean,
For the Niners.
there you go. But Tom Rathman, they never gave the ball to. And, they used to love sprinkling it in Allstott a little bit more.
Yeah.
Woo.
Rathman beat me in a fantasy football league. So, yeah, they gave him the ball once.
Yeah, I mean,
Dang you, Tom Rathman.
I tell you what, I loved Mike Allstott so much and watching him play so much that when I played football my very first time, I took number 40 because I was playing running back and fullback. And I took number 40 so I could run some people over as well.
Did you know he went to Purdue?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did. He's the second best player from Purdue of all time because
Breeze.
Drew Brees is number 1.
There you go.
That's fair.
Would you agree with that, Adam? Okay.
I think Purdue football. Yes.
Yeah, Purdue football. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Not
I think Kyle Orton is probably 3.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah, that's all right. Orton's all right. Better than that Aiden, what's his name out?
Aiden O'Connell,
Yeah, that's
starting
a-
quarterback for the Oakland Raiders.
Or the Las Vegas
Vegas
Raiders.
Raiders.
Or the Vegas
I don't know what
That's
team
a
they
big
are
drop
now.
off going from Drew Brees to Mike Allstott to Kyle Orton.
Oh no,
Kyle
no,
Orton
it-
started. Kyle
no.
Orton started for the Broncos. He started for the Bears.
Now,
he
when
was
Kyle
he was
Orton
a
played at Purdue-
solid quarterback.
But you know what? He wasn't number 40.
He was not number 40. I think he was number 8.
Yeah.
I think he was number 15, I believe.
No, Drew Brees was 15. I have a poster in my room.
Oh yeah, Breeze 15.
Yeah,
All
Brees
right.
was 15.
All right, Adam, go ahead and get this nonsense over with.
This nonsense. I'm sorry. This week, my racing driver of the week is a guy known as the racing dentist, Dr. Jack Miller. He joined
Love
IndyCar.
it. I actually have a bumper sticker on my truck about Dr. Jack. We continue.
He joined
Love that guy.
he joined IndyCar at a time when all the good drivers went to a different series, and so it was just random people, and one of them was this
The
guy
dentist.
he's a dentist. He's also a race car driver. He's Dr. Jack Miller. 22 starts, 0 wins, 0 poles. It doesn't matter.
When you said he joined the Indy, when he joined Indy, I was waiting for you to say everybody had bad teeth, and that's why he did it.
He was sponsored by Crest every week.
Well, he should have been sponsored by Miller's Ale House.
I've gotten a chance to interview his son, and one of the legendary stories is that in his dentist office, because he's still a dentist, he has an IndyCar hanging upside down from the ceiling. And apparently it's true. He has an IndyCar hanging upside down from the ceiling.
That's pretty
and
cool.
that's just really cool.
I'm very sad that my dentist as a kid did not have anything cool like that because, even though he played football at Pitt and was a draft pick, it still didn't have any
He
football
didn't have
stuff
a
in the
car hanging.
Yeah.
All my dentist had was Highlights magazines, and that's all I played in with in the office.
Hey, as long as that's what magazine it was, Chuck, we're good. But,
Yeah,
hey,
not Tim Watley.
so
Watley on the side there.
I do want to just throw out one more piece of love for Mr. Sayers. What he was able to do, he only rushed for 1,000 yards twice in his entire career. And in college, in the first couple years in the pros, he was loose. He was a jackrabbit. But then after the knee injury, he had to go ground and pound, and he just wanted to prove he could get 1,000 yards that way. And took a beating like nobody else ever did because he used to always move out of the way, and then he couldn't move out of the way. But
He went to Kansas, right?
that is correct.
Yeah.
The Kansas Comet.
Yeah, and let me tell you, he was a great running back, but he's still number 2 on the list behind Walter when it comes to Bear running backs.
No doubt,
Oh, yeah.
because of the longevity. I mean,
Yeah.
he only played in 60. He started 65 games in his
Yeah.
entire career.
Yeah.
Walter did that in 4 years. And
Sounds
played
like Mike
for
Allstott might
16.
be the guy. I'm just
He might be the guy.
Whatever. You went with the dentist. You didn't even take the guy. That
The racing dentist.
Adam
The
didn't
race-
take
He's
an
not just
athlete,
a
he took
dentist.
a dentist. A dentist and Mike Allstott and 2 Gale Sayers. I think that's pretty good for a 40. Interesting to see what happens with 41. And we'll find out next week. But right now, let's get into an American Access commercial.
Tired of going to the same old places for the same old thing? American Access has your solution. Whether you're looking for something new to do before or after the game, bachelor or bachelorette party, or somewhere new to take those out-of-town guests, American Access in their 3 Atlanta locations in Marietta, Tucker, and in downtown at the Works are all waiting for you. Each and every location is conveniently and not coincidentally located next to a brewery. Look us up at American Access or give us a call at 678-763-3635 to schedule your next adventure.
And thank you, Dan Fisher, for being the sponsor of the 3 Guys Who Love Sports. As we started last week, Adam, do you want to just do the music?
I've forgotten it. Bum, 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 bum.
It is time for the Olympic segment. I kind of like that. That was pretty good. Yeah, that was good.
Round of applause. Round of applause.
Guess who is not going to the Olympics based on their bonbons?
Me.
That would be
That would be this entire group. Maybe
These
Larry
guys.
could. Maybe
But the
he-
good news is one of us has already been to Paris to check out what's going on before the Olympics, and that's our good friend Ian Ging with his Paris Olympic shirt on. obviously he didn't remember what size we had.
Yeah,
Because
it's always tough to figure out XL.
yeah, it is.
It is, especially over in Europe, because you never know actually what size you're really getting because Europeans are so much smaller
it's
than
so
Americans.
funny. He's in this vacation, and I'm seeing it's like, oh, he's in Italy. That's nice. Oh, he's in Paris. Oh, wait, he's got a shirt that says, "What? My wife is a Swiftie." It's like this guy is all over the place.
Yeah. So tell us, what was Paris like? Was it? I mean, they've been getting ready for years and years and years, but where were they?
They were in the final stages of getting set. So from taking the tour around the tour around Paris, and just walking a good deal, and going from our hotel that was by the Eiffel Tower, walking down to the Military Academy Museum, and walking down to the Petit Palace, the Grand Palace, and then over to the Louvre, and like making that route along those two avenues, as they call them,
Champs-Élysées?
No, not the Champs-Élysées. That's reserved for the.
We have a
Tour de
timeout.
France.
I think he has a question.
What? Yeah.
All right.
All right, but walking around, it was interesting to see how they were changing the infrastructure there, and like they were just building up stands all over the place, all along those avenues and all along those streets. It was just phenomenal to see, these historic monuments in this great architecture, with
Being in
modern,
the center of it all.
yeah, in the center of it all, and seeing all these.
When I flew back from Philadelphia Sunday night, I happened to see this very, very nice lady that had just gotten back to Paris, and she shared many, many, many pictures with me. And one of the coolest ones was the Olympic rings up on the Eiffel Tower.
And you know what? One of our neighbors and good friends, they actually ended up going over to Paris recently, just within the last 2 weeks, and so they had their selfies from the Eiffel Tower were with the Olympic rings.
Yeah.
So
Mark War, who was the original co-host with me on the show here, Mark left yesterday to go to Paris. So he's going to be coming back on the 26th of July, and he will be our guest on the 31st to show us what's been going on even more recently than Ian's been over there. So that should be pretty cool.
thank you, sir.
Larry Lichtenstein, the waiter, is also.
I tell you,
Taking
if
care
ever
of
a
things,
bartender, producer, what do you
I'm
need?
telling you, what do you need? It's
The
Larry.
man of many talents.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool, huh?
It was very cool to see everything going up as it was, and just seeing everything happen there, with feet on the ground. And while we were there, of course, like my one souvenir from Paris was this, because outside of the historic things, Paris isn't much of a city other than just another city.
But you did go out to the coast, didn't you?
We did. We went to Normandy.
A little place called Normandy?
Yeah, a little
Yes.
place called
How
Normandy.
awesome.
Son of a beach.
Yeah, where a lot of history was made, and just it was, really, really grounding to see, just everything that was left over, and see everything that was still in the water, all the structures, all the battleships, all the I can't think of
The turrets, the cannons,
and everything just still there, preserved like to a T.
It's
Very cool.
mind-boggling. I tell
Very
you,
cool.
I looked at your, it's like, okay, he's all over Italy. Okay, he's in Paris checking out Swizzle. But the day I saw that one, I was like, man, that's the one I want to do.
Yeah,
I
our
wanna
first
spend some time on
day
Normandy.
in France was going to Normandy. We got into France on a Thursday evening, went got dinner, woke up on Friday morning, went out to Normandy, got on a bus with a bunch of other tourists, went out to Normandy, and went to go check it out. And me as a history major and history teacher and all that, I really appreciated that. And just the gravity of it, and just seeing it in person, put everything in such perspective.
There's only a couple places on the planet, I think, where the gravity is real. Where you're like
That's gotta be one of them,
Normandy,
yeah.
Gettysburg. There's just a few places wherever you might go on the planet. And wow.
So speaking of history,
unbelievable.
The last week, Adam and who was our guest last week? I can't remember his name.
Neither can I.
Yeah, but he said right here.
He did a great job.
He
was.
did do a good
He
job.
did a very good job. I just can't remember who it was. And we shared all our favorite Olympic moments, but since you guys weren't here, I want you to share.
It
those.
was Bill Sterrick.
Bill Sterritt. Yeah, that's who it was.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Bill.
Sorry, Billy boy.
I would have remembered you. Just
Yeah,
saying,
bite
I'll
me.
throw that
All
out
right. So, Robert, Ian,
sorry, Bill.
What are your favorite moments of Olympic history?
So many. I was lucky enough to go to a lot of the Olympic Games when they were here in Atlanta. One of the weirdest ones ever was a 4x400 qualifying. And so I'm at the Olympic Stadium. There's nobody there because there's really not a lot of events, and this is early on stuff. And hearing a baton fall, and the ting, ta-ting, ting, as it's bouncing, and know that those people's dreams are crushed and over, and they will never. And you think about, like we just said, the gravity of it all, and you're just like, holy moly! But that was. I love the Olympics.
Everything you worked for.
Absolutely, and you didn't do it. You ran a great 400. It was that other guy.
Yeah. So my favorite moment, it still happens there in Atlanta. It's on the track. It's Michael Johnson, just absolutely doing his thing, setting world records. The 200, the 100, just seeing him.
Gold shoes.
Yeah, the golden shoes. I tell you what, great book out there. It Takes What It Takes. And I can't think of the author right now, and I will.
Bill
later.
Sterritt. Oh no, wait, that was pretty good.
Nice try, Chuck Birch.
But It Takes What It Takes. Talks about taking things in the moment, and it uses Michael Johnson as an example, and about the golden shoes, and how he's like, hey, goes to Nike and says, I want to wear the golden shoes. I want to wear these shoes,
Right.
and his coaches are completely against it, but he's visualizing what it's going to be like crossing the finish line, wearing the golden shoes, winning the gold medal.
Well, and you're a coach. You coach when you can't do. When the guy who can do says, I want gold shoes, I say just let him have some gold shoes. I don't know but the U.S. Olympic Committee, everybody's got to have, the same everything. But, there's just so many awesome memories. The one thing I'll say about the Olympics that always has me watching, and I don't care what sport or what it is how close everything is. And I'm going to throw out something for winter sports, but like you watch bobsled. First place, the difference in first place and 27th place is
Half a second.
0.37 of a second.
Feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme.
And then they tell you that the first place team hasn't lost. And it's like, if the top 27 teams are all within 0.3 of a second, how is it that you've never lost? I mean, that's a crapshoot that doesn't seem to make sense, but obviously it is.
Yeah. So when the '96 Olympics were going on with the track meets, I was in Gettysburg actually at the time. Like we stayed in Harrisburg and went to go look at Gettysburg and go tour everything. And I remember as a kid going to Gettysburg, coming back home or coming back to the hotel and watching those meets. Michael Johnson just tearing it up, and like after watching that, I was so inspired. I was going and running sprints out in the parking lot as a little kid. I was in 11 years old, just running sprints out in the parking lot.
And I was running sprints 12 years earlier while I was watching Carl Lewis dominate 1984. But yeah, it's unbelievable. And I, as far as that matter, I can remember literally running around. I made my mom drive me to Woolworths. For anybody who knows Woolworths, there are not a lot of those around anymore.
Used to be one on the square.
And buy me a small American flag on a stick, the kind that they stick on the
that you
desk.
wave at the parades
yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
So I could look like Bruce Jenner when I was walking around, because when I was 5 years old, he was the greatest athlete on the planet.
On the planet. Yeah.
I mean, it's not up for debate. He's the one.
He was the Wheaties box.
How mind-boggling is that all? I don't know, but man, I love me some Bruce Jenner.
Yeah. And I'll tell you one of my other favorite moments from that '96 Olympics, and I think the '96 Olympics, I mean, for us as Americans, just sticks in our mind because it's the last time that we hosted. It's one of the most iconic Olympics of all time. It's the 100th Olympics of all time, or excuse me, the 100th anniversary
right.
of the Olympics. the Carrie Strug moment as well. Like when she
We
landed
talked
that,
about that last week. The
was
vault.
was a phenomenal moment where she was able to
Stick
land
it.
it and stick
Battle
it.
of Corley had to
Even
carry
though
her off.
even though she blew out her ankle and
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
whatever injury she had, was it a stress fracture?
Yeah.
in her leg. That was another phenomenal moment. But one of my favorite moments was, basically the highlight reel. That was the '92 Dream Team. That was it.
Does anybody remember? And I know I've shared it on the show, so I'll just stare at ATI and check his retention skills again. Does anybody remember who dominated for the '92 Dream Team?
Well, it wasn't Jordan or Bird.
No.
It wasn't Magic. Magic was on the team, though.
But there was one guy, and
Mark Price,
and he dominated all of them. And
Chris Mullins.
and they tried to tone him back, and he's like, "I'm from Auburn, and Charles
Barkley.
Charles wants the ball. Charles going to get it." But if you go back and you look at those '92 stats, it's incredible. And it was like, just give it to Chuck, and it was fun to watch. God,
Yeah.
it was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was. And go ahead, Ian.
And while we were over in Europe, my wife is, talking about, let's come back again. Which country do you want to see? It's like, if you wanted me to be honest, let's go to Spain so we can go to Barcelona so we can go back to the stadium
The
where
92.
where the Dream Team dunked all over everybody.
That's funny.
So that's a historic place I'd like to see in my lifetime.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the
Absolutely.
coolest things that happened with me with the '96 Olympics was way before the Olympics ever started. It was the day that they announced that Atlanta had won. And I remember I was driving downtown to work, and everybody was honking their horns and screaming, and everybody met at Underground Atlanta to buy their '96 Olympic T-shirts, and it was a really, really cool
the
moment for the
city
city.
of
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Yeah. So it was very, very cool. And the other thing you guys
What's
didn't
it?
mention, huh?
What's it?
Yeah.
That was our guy.
Yeah, the
we
mascot.
But in '94 we were selling him, but he didn't even have a name, so you could buy him at the store, but they didn't even have a name, and then they ended up going, let's just call him What's It?
Yeah.
And it was like,
Yeah.
that's kind of.
But
a
the one
cop-out.
thing you guys didn't mention, and we mentioned last week, and what I think is still the greatest Olympic moment, is the Miracle on Ice in '80.
No doubt about it, But the one thing about the Miracle on Ice, and I don't want to downplay it because we beat the Russians, and you have to look at that one from multiple angles. We lost the gold medal basketball game in '72 in Munich because of those officials. Nobody spoke English or Russian. How about that? They couldn't
No
talk
translators.
to either team.
Perfect environment for
But
Otani.
it was an incredible moment. But we still had to beat Sweden
Yep.
a few days later. That was only the
The
semifinal
semifinals,
match.
yeah.
But,
Yeah.
That's the most often forgotten thing.
Oh, absolutely. Because you think we won the gold. No, it's
No,
kind
that
of like
was
the Braves
semis.
beating the Dodgers. No, but we beat the Dodgers.
No, we
Why not won a
we
series?
clinched the bronze because we couldn't have done any worse.
We guaranteed no worse than a silver.
That's right, because we were in the finals.
That's correct.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Olympics are great. Maybe next week we'll talk about a lot of the Olympics that are coming up. But real quickly, we got a couple of minutes on this.
1936.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to from this Olympics most?
KSU people dominating.
Yeah, Daniel Hall, Manu, although she'll be from never.
It's okay. She sat in that chair where I'm rooting for her.
There you
Even
go.
if she's wearing orange.
Yeah.
Hooligan.
She won't be wearing orange because the Danish don't wear orange; they wear
She'll
red.
be wearing
but
a swimsuit.
fine.
I'm
It's
okay with
fine.
that, too.
I hope Daniel's not, but yeah.
There's just so much fun stuff. You look at what's our great swimmer's name?
Katie Ledecky?
Katie Ledecky.
This is probably the big one for Ledecky, where this is her last time to dominate. So I'll be watching those closely and
We got a
Ledecky's last
16-year-old running, which is cool. I can't think of his name. but
mind-boggling when you
Yeah.
start thinking about stuff like that.
all the great athletes that run and in their 20s and 30s, and this kid's 16 running in the Olympics. We'll do some more on him next week as well.
But I think that one of the underlying storylines from this Olympics is for the U.S. men's basketball team as well. I mean, just with the precedent the Dream Team set back in '92, moving forward, basketball has always been one of the things that Americans have looked forward to because it's something that we dominate and we just kick ass every single
And
Olympics
Simone Biles
until we
is
didn't.
back. And Simone Biles is
But
at the Olympics.
we're getting worse though. It got so bad in the '88 Seoul Olympics that we had to go Dream Team to get it back. And then each year, it's just everybody gets
The Redeem team was pretty good, and the 2012 team was pretty good. The last two Olympics haven't been great, but we've got LeBron and Steph Curry and Kevin Durant this year.
Are the French our
We're
biggest
fine.
competition in basketball?
They are not.
They're
The
not the
Spanish.
Serbs. I would say the Serbs are.
Spanish.
I
mean,
The
Jokic.
Spaniards definitely.
Reese with
Jokic-
Giannis.
I think by the next Olympics, after the Hawks rookie dominates for the next few years, the French might be up there pretty high.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to our last segment, but speaking of athletes, let's get our NIL lawyers message sent.
Hi, my name is Joshua Smith, and my wife Tammy and I are graduates of Kennesaw State College. I have been practicing law for 24 years, specializing in sports entertainment while continuing in criminal defense, civil litigation, juvenile, and personal injury law. And I'm ready to represent you all the way from the small town you live in to the Supreme Court and any appellate court in between. With all the new rules regarding the NIL and cash payments to athletes, we are placing a new emphasis on KSU student athletics to help our student athletes better navigate some of the bigger issues that have tripped up so many. Give us a call tomorrow at 706-217-2095.
Thank you, Joshua Smith, for being a sponsor of not only the Three Guys Who Love Sports, but also the Owls Who Live Sports. Coming up at 7 o'clock right here at Miller's Ale House, the Owls Show. Hootie Hoo.
Hootie Hoo.
A lot of good things going on with the Owls. So can't wait for the 7 o'clock show tonight. We have the assistant soccer coach, Wesley Barnard, is going to be joining us at 7. So that's really cool. I said too cool twice, and so I hope Rick Limpert, I hope you're watching, and I hope you're happy.
He's counting.
He is watching.
He's counting.
He is watching.
Hey, Rick. So let's get on to some college football. I think we're only 44 days from Tech and FSU?
Not many.
It's the 26th of July, 26th of August, or 24th of
I
August.
think it might be 40.
It's not that far away.
It's very, very close.
Yes.
And I know the Falcons are less than a month away. They open against the Dolphins on August the 9th. So they're 31 days away from football.
Little combat.
I can smell it in the air. Love me some football. We are
And
ready to go.
How about this? On what's today's date? The 10th?
10th, yeah.
So
Today's
on
10th.
July 10th, we talked for 45 minutes without mentioning football and barely broke a sweat. We won't have to worry about it anymore. It's just going to be becoming more and more football the rest of the day.
Absolutely. And
40, if you want the countdown, it's 44 days, 19 hours,
That's
12
right,
minutes,
44
and
days. That's what I thought.
2 seconds. 11 minutes, 59 seconds.
Go
Here we
Jackets. You're not going to that game, are you?
We are going to that game.
Oh, are you?
We are going to that
was
game.
so
Go
cool.
Jackets.
All right, go Jackets. You'll bring me back a shirt this time?
I will bring you back a shirt this time.
All right, that's awesome.
So I went golfing a couple weeks ago for the Kennesaw Mountain High School football tournament, and a neighbor of mine golfed with me. His wife won tickets to go. She's alumni, and she won tickets to go, but there wasn't an extra ticket. And so, they're all like, oh, can we get you a ticket? And he's like, no. And so he's golfing 2 courses a day and making his way all over England.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's so funny. There's all these people who are like, yeah, we're going to the football. He's like, I'm going to this one. I'm going to this one.
Going to St. Andrews and Royal Troon.
Yeah, I'm going Bannockburn,
Carnoustie.
Royal Bannockburn,
Royal
Carnoustie.
Liverpool.
Oh, there's so many. There's so many.
And it's sold out. I mean, it is absolutely sold out. And this is one of the first ones that has been sold out over in Ireland.
But, I was listening to Buck
getting more
Ballou
and more that
yesterday,
way.
and they were doing a what's going to happen to college football this year. And Phil Steele's got a pretty good book. I mean, he comes 30 years of doing his book.
Yep.
And Buck Ballou did not even ask him about Georgia Tech at all. He asked about Southern Cal. Georgia Tech has the 10th rated offensive lineman in the country. And so I wanted to write Buck and say, come on, ask about the Jackets. What are you talking about Southern Cal when the Jackets are right down the street? So I thought that was odd.
You thought that was odd for a man from Valdosta who wore red his whole life?
Yeah.
Or you thought,
and
you
I
thought it
wanted
was
to write
spot
and say,
on?
is this a dog thing, Buck, or is it, do you just really not care about sports locally? And they never talk about Kennesaw. which is sad for me. But we need to up the game of these local sports talk shows.
Go Jackets, sing 'em.
There you go. One thing they did talk about is this could be the first year that the same teams played each other 3 times in a year. So let's say Texas and Georgia play early in the year. They could both play in the SEC championship, and then they could meet in the playoffs too. How weird would that be? Do you see it happening?
I would venture to say I'll give you 10-1, and I'll bet you $100. I'll let you bet $100 right now, and I'll do that all day long because there's no way that will ever happen. I'd offer you 100-1, but you probably don't trust me for $10,000.
I would say it's a 2-1 within the next 10 years.
That it will happen?
I don't think so because there's so many games. There's so many. Although let me take that back. I was looking at it from the standpoint of a national championship. Technically, it could happen in the second week of the playoff.
Yep.
If they don't design the playoff, which most likely they're going to design the playoff the same way. Duke's always on this side. Carolina's always on this side. You're not going to play again.
They're not going to play till the last game.
So I'll go back and say that no, it isn't going to happen. They're gonna schedule them on the opposite sides. And I mean, there's a couple times where maybe Bama and Georgia would have been the 2 best teams and could have met that many times. But
they have played a couple of times in one year,
when you got to
right?
play those extra games are going to be brutal. Because it's not Rutgers, it's not Iowa State, it's not this. Those other games, they're going to be tough.
And how important is depth on a college team now that because we've added these extra games?
Mind-boggling depth. When you're watching your favorite team at the end of November or the beginning of December, and you don't even know that the reason why you're in this game is those 6 backups are doing really well, and that'll be why.
Yep. And it's all between the tackles, too. I mean, especially at that level, it's all between the tackles. I mean, if you have a defensive line that is, you have, 8, 4-star, 5-star, 3-star players that you are rotating in and out every single play, that's what's going to get you there. And that's what matters most is the attack on the offensive line as a defense in college football. And that's what's going to get them there. And we'll see what happens, but I'm really excited to see this 12-team format. Me now personally, I would love to see a 24-team format.
Oh God!
And
4 is plenty.
Hold on,
and
Penn State guys,
go to 64.
But 24 and no more bowl games. Let's get rid of the bowl games because the bowl games turn the bowl games into the playoff games. Period. Stop.
They've got to do that now. They've got to integrate the two.
I believe that's what I've been calling for a long time, the integration. But there is a fine line where nobody wants to see 6-6 Illinois play 6-6 Boston College in the Weed Eater Bowl.
And this will eliminate that.
And so instead of doing that, make the Independence Bowl. And I've said this from the beginning. Make Independence Bowl. What is it?
First round of the playoffs.
It's Oregon and Penn State, and yes. Man, if ever the people in Shreveport are going to get excited and sell out some freaking rooms finally, it's not going to be Illinois.
I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. I think that's the way it's got to be. Now,
and it might be someday.
But when we talk about college football starting in 44 days and so many hours, the other important thing about college football is the EA Sports game that comes out in 9 days.
It comes out in 5. The early access starts in 5 days.
Early access is 5 days, but it comes out officially on the 19th of July. And Adam has a list for us of the top 8 quarterbacks.
They released their list of the top 100 players in the country, and there were 8 quarterbacks in the top 100 players. So this is in reverse order. So it's 8 to I'll go 8 to 1.
And just for the record, having not heard this list, that sounds like a pretty good list right off the bat. If they're only putting 8 quarterbacks, then they're giving
I think the top players were, I think it was a cornerback from Michigan and Travis Hunter and somebody, guys that you would a linebacker from Georgia.
Hey, just tell me if what's his name, Carson Beck is the number 1 quarterback, I don't want to hear the list.
You don't have to. You'll be okay. Okay.
Thank you.
So the number 8 quarterback is Kadon Salter from Liberty. He led his team to an undefeated record last year.
Undefeated, and that schedule is not daunting like a lot of other people. So, I can understand he's going to put up big numbers.
Number 7 is Jackson Dart, Ole Miss.
Miss, yeah.
Yep.
Lane Kiffin's boy.
Yeah.
Going to put up
Yeah.
numbers.
6 is Jalen Daniels, Kansas.
Kansas, my team.
I'm not as optimistic about the Jay Sox.
Rock'em Sock'em, or is it Rock Sock Jayhawk?
Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk, yeah.
Number 5 is Jalen Milroe.
Alabama.
He's getting a little better every game. I watched last year. It's like each game is like, oh, this guy's getting a little confident.
Yeah. His
Number
capacity.
4 is Quinn Ewers.
Texas?
Yeah. Number 3 is Dylan Gabriel, Oregon.
Oregon, that's right. He was
We
Oklahoma.
go from Oklahoma to Oregon.
Actually, from UCF to Oklahoma.
Yes. Number 2 is Carson Back.
Oh, God, help me.
And the number 1 quarterback, according to EA Sports, is
But not according to ATI.
Shador Sanders.
Oh, you have got to be kidding
man.
me. Oh, God. That's nauseating.
I mean,
It's better than Carson Beck, but
once
He's
again-
not the number 1 quarterback in the country.
No,
Yeah.
he's not. But the way he gets used, he's going to have huge numbers. It's kind of like, who do you want running your NFL team? This guy. Who do you want on your fantasy team? This guy. So I can see where Sanders is going to put up some big numbers.
It should have been Milroe or Ewers. It
Out of
should not
those-
have been Shador
out of
Sanders.
those 8, I would have taken Milroe
I would
say
take
Ewers.
or Ewers.
I would
there was
take
one
any
other.
of the
Or Dart.
any of the
Dart.
7 above Shador Sanders.
Yeah, I would too, except Beck. Beck should have been like 9.
But we talk about it all the time. Where getting on a coach's good side and everything else. This coach is going to call every play to maximize his stats. So there is part that plays into it where you go,
They're trying to make him a Heisman candidate.
or a top
Not gonna
or a
work.
first round draft pick, or whatever the case might be. Doesn't have to win a Heisman to sign a really good contract.
Yeah, I don't see Colorado doing anything much more than they did last year. If
But that their schedule just got a lot easier.
Yeah,
Yep, it did.
yeah.
Big 12.
Big 12 hiding out. I'm excited about to see the new additions to the ACC. SMU,
Yep.
Stanford, another Brainiac college. So
Cal.
So Tech might have a shot with this. Tech's going to be okay. They've got a tough schedule. But if they could somehow slide by FSU, and FSU's, they're a lot about the transfer portal. I saw like 60 to 70% of their roster is turned over from last year.
Yeah.
And you bring up a great point. I think there could be a lot of talent on FSU, but getting to play them in the very first game before
Is a
that
bonus.
talent has come together, by week 7 they're going to be a unit. We might be able to catch them when they're not quite a
What
full
about
unit.
DJ? DJ should have been on that list.
Ungolele.
Shockley?
Yeah. No, DJ Uyunglele. Uyunglele.
You just wanted to say that name.
I did.
That's the only reason he brought it up. But that's okay. He's
Who
good.
also transferred again, and he is now at FSU.
Florida
He'll be
State.
starting at QB at FSU, I would think.
And I tell you what, I think the difference in that game coming up, the first game of the year between Tech and Florida State, is honestly going to be team camaraderie. I mean, that's what's
Team
gonna
what?
Camaraderie.
Camaraderie?
Yeah, camaraderie.
Camaraderie.
I didn't know
Camardi.
who Camardi was.
Antonio.
Warren Camardi.
Team Camardi. That should be Antonio's son's name. One of the
Antonio Rogers Cromartie.
One of the 36 of them. But no, in all seriousness, it's going to be team camaraderie. That's what it's going to come down to. I mean, Tech is going to have a team coming back that is going to be stacked at the line. And we're going to have a quarterback, Haynes King, who's going to be back there. And I think they're going to do some things in Ireland that are going to shock some people.
I would agree. I would take the spread plus Tech right now.
Yeah,
What is the spread?
I don't know.
Okay.
Is there a spread out yet, Adam?
Oh, yeah, there's always a spread.
For
Georgia Tech and,
probably like
and,
one
The very
and a
first
and
game?
FSU.
I haven't seen one.
That's because
Ian's going to check it out.
That's
I'll
because
check
you're
it
not enough of a degenerate to check those things out.
I'm not enough of a degenerate.
A degenerate?
He's not one of those either.
Yeah. Yeah, so very excited about football. It's just around the corner. I know it's high this
13 and a half.
13 and a half.
I have 12 and a half.
Give me I'll take the Jackets at 12 and a half right now.
Yeah, I'd like at least 13 and a half. 14 and a half sounds perfect.
Yeah.
Slide to bet in the day, it moves
Yeah.
up a point.
Yep.
Yeah, Tech could be fun. And I just want to say it's such a shame that there's so many people like yourself, Chuck Burge, and maybe you, Ian King of the South, who only root for one team in the state and can't find joy when multiple teams are winning.
How can you say that when I'm sitting here talking about Kennesaw State?
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there you go.
I only cheer for one team in the state.
Yeah.
That's good.
I married into the hate.
That's a good way to be.
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
I understand
Well,
that.
technically, I cheer for two because I cheer for one of them to go 0-12. But
Yeah, there you go. We're on the same page.
Yeah.
There, yeah. All right. Well, we've reached the end of our time here. It's a great show. Good content, good guests, and some good things
thank you.
going on. Yeah.
We'll have to have Ian back on so he can talk about all of the baseball stadiums he has knocked off the list.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Four more this year.
Yeah,
5 more this year.
5 more. That's
Oh,
great.
Well, there was Busch, Coors,
Arizona.
the Diamondbacks, the Rangers, and what?
And Kaufman.
Oh, you went to
Kansas
KC.
City. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Maybe
Beautiful.
We'll get Ian back. You back in for the fantasy football league again this
I
year?
will be back for the fantasy football league.
All right, so that's coming up. All right, guys. Thanks for watching again this week. Know your numbers, cover your ass, get your prostate checked. We'll see you next week. That was fun.
So how many more stadiums you have? I mean, you're hitting them at 5 a year. 5 a year, you go through them pretty quick.
Last year we only hit 3. So,
I hit 1 this year, and it's my first one in a couple years, so I'm kind of excited. Puts me back on the.
So we hit. So I checked the Pirates schedule because me being selfish.
Sure.
As a dad, I'm like,
Absolutely.
we're paying for it. Let me go see the teams I want to see.
Thanks, sir.
You're the man.
How about some utensils down there, Mr. Quesadilla?
But it's not in the casing.
That's good. And as long as I can do this, there we go. We're good.
Mr. Quesadilla, could I have some utensils down there?
Don't be talking about my quesadilla.